Donald Trump has spent the beginning of his presidency doing a lot of whining, a lot of complaining, a lot of yelling, a lot of lying. But the thing that he's done the most is breaking promises. Donald Trump said grocery prices were going to go down immediately, and now the price of eggs is up about 33% and rising. Donald Trump said we would see an energy boom. Haven't seen it. Border crossings would be down. They're up more than they were under President Biden. Donald Trump is breaking every single one of his promises, but one stands out above the rest. One promise he said he would have done even before he was inaugurated, and clearly that has failed, and that is ending the war, or Russia's invasion, of Ukraine. Now, Donald Trump, of course, made this promise with no real answer to how he'd get it done, and that's clear because it's not done. But when he was asked about it today, after giving a speech at the World Economic Forum, it was really clear how much of a disaster Donald Trump was, because when he was asked, he just kind of melted down. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into the question that Trump was asked, I want to get into some of the ridiculousness of this speech, because I think it frames it pretty well.
States is strong and sovereign and a beautiful nation. Once again, it's a strong, sovereign nation. In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly. With another historic executive order this week, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against the American people and, frankly, against politicians, and restored the fair, equal, and impartial rule of law. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country. You have to hear that word, merit-based country. And
So, like I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of the first few days of the Trump administration, as we'd expect, were not about getting anything done. Republicans are an obstructionist party. They don't get anything done. They repeal, they rescind, they attack. And now DEI is the main focus. Has that made rents cheaper? Groceries less expensive? Oh, it hasn't. Oh, interesting. You just want a scapegoat, something to point to, something to complain about, something to whine, Donald, to distract everyone from the fact that you cannot get anything done? Yeah, what a shocker that is. And the obstruction and attacks on legislation that actually works did not stop there, because Donald Trump continued going off on the Green New Deal.
I mean, the Green New Deal was such a total disgrace, how that was perpetrated. And it was conceived of by people that were average students, less than average students, I might add, and never even took a course in energy or the environment. It was just a game. Remember, the world was going to end in 12 years? Remember that? Well, the 12 years has come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth. But, you know, the time has come. These people, and they really scared the Democrats large. I can't say the Republicans. The Republicans maybe could have fought harder to stop it, but it's been a tremendous waste of money. You know, during my 4 years, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, and yet we had the most productive economy in the history of our country. We had the most productive economy until COVID came. We had the most productive in the history of our country by far.
The Green New Scam. We can't have it. Sorry, I can't. I shouldn't do the Trump voice. Does Donald Trump not know all of the jobs that have come out of President Biden's historic investment in battling climate change? The biggest investment in battling climate change in American history, the history of the world, mind you. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of those investments that bring high-paying manufacturing jobs to the United States under Donald Trump. As we know, manufacturing jobs left the United States under Donald Trump. Somehow we weren't able to get people to notice that or listen to it or vote for it. Gosh, it's going to be a long 4 years. But again, the insanity, the complaints did not stop there. On the topic of climate change, because when Donald Trump was asked about his response to natural disasters in an interview with Sean Hannity last night, he had this to say.
Now, I will say that Los Angeles has changed everything because a lot of money is going to be necessary for Los Angeles, and a lot of people on the other side want that to happen, and
North Carolina too.
Fast. Well, they don't care about North Carolina. The Democrats don't care about North Carolina. What they've done with FEMA is so bad. FEMA is a whole other discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. You know, I had FEMA working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida. We had Alabama tornadoes. But unless you have certain types of leadership, it gets in the way. And FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems. If they have a tornado someplace, and if they let that state, Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma. 77 out of 77 districts, and that's never been done before.
So now Trump is not only just going to ignore climate change, but he's also going to ignore the response to natural disasters and these catastrophes that are only getting worse because of it. Yeah, let's get rid of FEMA. Genius idea, Donald. That's great. That'll work out really well. Getting rid of stuff. That's how we're solving problems. But speaking of solving problems, like I said, Donald Trump was asked about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, something he said he would have solved before he was inaugurated, before he put his hand on the Bible. That's what he said. By the way, he didn't put his hand on the Bible. Not a shock there. But what was Donald Trump's answer?
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos next year, will there be then a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. Just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president, it would never have started. This is a war that should have never, ever been started. And it wasn't started during there was never even talk about it. I knew that it was the apple of President Putin's eye, but I also knew that there was no way he was going in, and he wasn't going to go in. And then when I was out, bad things happened, bad things were said, a lot of stupidity all around, and you end up with what you have. Now you have all these bombed out cities. They look like demolition sites with many people killed. I think
You have to ask Russia? Donald, you told us we had to ask you. You said, make me president because I'll solve the problem. As I always do. I make all the deals. I'm not wearing a watch right now, but if I were, I'd check the time and see that January 20th is passed. And you haven't made a deal. What a shock. Another promise broken. Donald Trump ran on this idea, talked about it so much, that he was this anti-war candidate, anti-conflict. The first thing he did after elected, not even inaugurated yet, is start talking about invading Canada, taking the Panama Canal, tariffs on Mexico. Maybe we should bomb them. What is anti-war about that? Put that in one little box of Donald Trump's failures. Also, what is anti-war about promising to end a war and then not? Can someone in MAGA explain that to me? What happened to the deal maker? Is Donald Trump saying, meh, I'll just leave it to Russia, part of his strategy to get them to bend the knee? Is he just operating on such a different level? Because it really doesn't seem like he is. And it seems like MAGA actually never really cared. And it seems like, as we had always said, Donald Trump is just in Putin's pocket. And what ending the war means is letting Putin get whatever he wants. But of course, Donald Trump is not focused on this clearly. He's focused on more important issues. That was sarcasm, like this right here.
Made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. Finally,
Oh, man, it's going to be a long 4 years of a guy who doesn't care about anything and can't get things done. Fear-mongering against trans student athletes. Not even student athletes, just kids, middle schoolers, high schoolers. What is wrong with this guy? Again, all a distraction. Doesn't actually care about getting anything done. And when he does want to do something, it's just actually bound to backfire on us. Take a look.
thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years. And it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, just as an example.
Yes, tariffs. The whiny baby lobbing tariffs at our allies is how you get them to respect us. Getting American consumers, working class Americans, to pay a tax, in effect, from your tariff. That's how you get people to respect us. You are a joke, Donald. You are, I just can't believe this. Oh, man, it's going to be a long 4 years of calling this out, but we have to every single day. I'm sorry. This one really wore me down. This speech was ridiculous. He is nonsensical and a moron, but we're going to call him out every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.